では始めます。Hello, this is Embassy of Lithuania in Japan. Welcome to the European Literature Festival Lithuanian Part. We will have our presentation by 3 presenters today. Please enjoy. 木村さん、お願いします。
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lithuanian Japanese translator Aya Kimura, and today we'll invite 2 writers from Lithuania, and we will have nice conversation about Lithuanian literature and its translation into Japanese. So I want to introduce Maris, please on your camera. And first I want to introduce Yurga Vilja. Hello, Yurga. She's a writer of children's graphic novels and children's picture novels, and she started her career as a writer in Lithuania with Siberian Haiku, which means Siberian Haiku, and it is the best hit seller in Lithuania right now and in whole Europe right now. So Yurga, please can you greet to your audience?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm very happy to be here, and as is short, Aya presented me already, so let's continue.
Yes, and another guest for today is Maris Malutin from Lithuania. He is an author and a poet. He writes a various kind of literature in Lithuanian. He writes poems for children. He also writes the novel for adults. He's also one of the best 10 writer for children selected by the Lithuanian National Library. And he's also a medical practitioner. He's a magical guy from Lithuania. So Marius, please greet to your audience today.
Hello, yes, I'm Marius, and I'm a magical guy, said Aya. So let's start and enjoy our conversation.
Yes, so we will start our conversation by reading the what 2 authors write in Lithuanian and in Japanese, and then we will move on to the conversation. And sorry for listener in English, because we will read only in Lithuanian and Japanese. So first, we will start reading with Marius Marcinkevičius of his book Maži eilėraščiai mažiems, which means the small poem for small ones, published by Tikra Knyga in 2018. And this is also in the Japanese version from銀の鈴社in Japanese version. So Marius will read in Lithuanian and I will read in Japanese. So Marius, please start.
Okay, the first one poem, it is about sadness, because our life, it's not only joy, but sometimes we are sad. So it is sadness, and it is look like this. Liūdesys, o liūdna širdelė, tuk, tuk, o keliai žydros, klapt, klapt, ašarėlės skaidrios, lumt, lumt, ant baltos suknelės, kapt, kapt, ir kojytės mažos, tap, tap, per takelį siaurą, bėgt, bėgt, pas mamytę glėbin, nešt, nešt, įsikniaubus saugiai, būt, būt.
悲しみ、悲しい心がトクントクン、青いお目目がパチクリパチクリ、透き通った涙がポロンポロン、白いドレスの上にポタポタ、そしたら小さなあんよがパタパタ、狭い小道を急ぐ急ぐ、母ちゃんの腕に抱っこ抱っこ、隠れたよ、大丈夫、いい子いい子。
Okay, thank you. And the next one, it is not so sad. It is about lake and fish. What they can do when winter is coming. Ežeras. Ežere užšalo ledas ir žuvims atėjo badas. Ką daryti, kaip gyventi, laužus vandenį kūrenti. Susirinko jos iš ryto ir į Afriką išskrido. Skrenda, uodegom mojuoja, žuviškas dainas dainuoja. Kuoja, kuoja ešerys, štai koksai gražus būrys.
湖。湖が凍って魚たちの住むところがなくなった。どうしよう、どうやって生きていこう。水の中に焚き火を作ろうか。魚たちは朝市に集まって、そしてアフリカへと旅立った。飛んで尻尾で羽ばたいた。魚らしい歌歌った。ローチ、ローチ、パーチ。それは美しい群れだった。
Okay, thank you. And next one, if I remember, it's about fish.
Linas.
Another one about fish. Lynas. Okay. Lynas. Ežeras platus kaip blynas. Ežere gyvena lynas. Lynas mėgsta pasvajoti. Svajose dangų įskrajoti. Paskrajoti, padainuoti ir pelekais pamojuoti. Jeigu pamatysi lyną, kuris tempia pianiną, danguje išgirsi dainą, kad pavasaris ateina.
鯉。湖はパンケーキのように広い。湖には鯉が住んでいる。鯉は夢を見るのが好きで、夢の中では空を飛んでいる。飛んで飛んで、そしてヒレで羽ばたく。もしもピアノを引きずる鯉を君が見たのなら、空から春の訪れの歌が聞こえてくるだろう。
Okay, thank you. And last one, it's about another fish. I chose all my poems about fish. Okay. Šamas. Net ir šamas turi mamą, net ir šamas myli mamą, ir močiutę, ir senelį, ir katytę, ir šunelį. Šamas į mokyklą eina, traukia linksmą šamo dainą apie gražų šamo mamą, apie puikią šamo mamą.
ししゃも。ししゃもにだってうちがある。ししゃもにだってママがいる。あとばあちゃんと、あとじいちゃんと、あと猫ちゃんと、あとワンちゃんも。ししゃもは学校に行って、ししゃもの幸せな歌を歌うよ。ししゃもの美しいうちのこと。ししゃもの素晴らしいママのこと。So, thank you, Marius.
Thank you, Aya.
So, you read,
Thank you, Aya.
Thank you. And you read from this nice book. This book is whole book about book of poems for small children. So we will discuss about writing poems and stories for children later with Marius. But now we will read with Yurga right now with this book called Siberian Haiku, which means Siberian Haiku. So compared to this Marius poetry book, this book is very funny and fun book for children to read and enjoy, but this book is more a little bit serious about history of Lithuania. So this book is not yet published in Japan, but it will be in next February. So we will read some chapters from this book today, Siberian Haiku. And first page we will read is this page of the beginning of the journey of deportation to Siberia of one Lithuanian family. So, Yurika, please start reading.
Kas ten beldžia į duris? Aušo 1941 metų birželio 14 rytas. Kietai miegojau. Ir mano sapne pratrūko loti šunys. 1, 2, galiausiai visas pulkas. Jie skailėjo vis garsiau ir garsiau.
誰が扉を叩いているの ?1941 年6月14日の夜明けのことだ。僕らはぐっすりと眠っていた。僕の夢の中で犬が吠え出した。 1頭、2頭と吠え始めて、やがて群れの全部に広がった。その叫びはだんだんとうるさくなっていった。
Prisimenat, koks neramus vakare buvo žąsinas Martynas? Jis aiškiai jautė artėjančią nelaimę. Staiga pašokom iš lovų nuo garsaus daužimo į duris. Lauke kaip pasiutę lojo kaimo šunys. Tai visai nesakmas. Sustingę iš baimės laukiam, kas čia bus. Mama, tėtis, aš ir Dalia. Žąsinas Martynas palindo po lovą. Duris smūgio neatlaikė ir išvirto. Kambarinį griuvo durų su kareiviai ir mūsų kaimynas Kemsynas. Vienas iš jų liepė išsiskaičiuoti pirmais antrais. Iš po lovos ištraukė žąsiną. Skubino, stumdėsi ir keikėsi. O mes drebėjom, kalenom dantimis.
思い出せば、昨日の夜のガチョウのマルティナスは落ち着きがなかった。こいつははっきりと迫り来る不運を感じていたのだ。その時突然、ドアが壊される音でベッドから飛び起きた。外ではおかしくなったみたいに村の犬が吠えていた。夢なんかじゃなかったんだ。僕らは何がやってくるのだろうと怖くなって固まった。ママ、パパ、姉ちゃんと僕。ガチョウのマルティナスはベッドの下に隠れた。ドアが衝撃に耐えられなくなって外れた。部屋の中になだれ込んできたのは2人のロシア兵とお隣のケムシーナスさんだった。奴らの一人が1番、2番と点呼を取るように命令した。ベッドの下からはガチョウを引きずり出した。せかして押し合ってひどいことを言った。僕らはといえば震えて歯がガタガタとなっていた。So this is the thick book as you see. So we will not read everything of this book today. And this book is about deportation of Lithuanian to Siberia in 1940s. And in Siberia, Lithuanian family children happened to meet to Japanese soldiers who was also deported to Siberia, and this is a scene that they have the Lithuanian children, the protagonists, try to make communication with them. So, Yurga, can you read this?
Japonai. Aišku, teta Petronėlė pirma suadė, kad už netoliesės 1000 aukštos tvoros gyvena Japonai. Matyt, jie ilgai neišgyvendavo, nes kas vakarą atsidarius dideliems vartams iš kiemo išdardėdavo vežimas su krūva tabaluojančių kojų. Tos kojos atrodo tokios nedidelės, keistų medžiaginių lėlių.
そう、日本人。そう遠くないところにそびえ立つ塀の向こうに日本人がいることを最初に見つけたのはもちろんペトロネレおばさんだった。見るからに彼らは長く生き延びられそうになかった。毎晩大きな門が開くと、だらりと垂れた足が山積みになった荷車が中から運び出された。その足はあまり大きくなくて、変わった素材の人形のようだった。
Teta Petronėlė slėpdamasi stebėdavo, kas vyksta už vartų. Japonai už nugaros sunertom rankom erdvėme kieme suko ratus, kaip laikrodžio rodyklės. Tik tak, mažai žingsneliais.
ペトロネレおばさんは門の向こうで何が起こっているのかこっそり眺めていた。日本人たちは背中で手を組まされて中庭で円を描いて歩いていた。チクタク、チクタク。一歩一歩は小さかった。
Netrukus teta užmezgė ryšį su japonų belaisviais. Mėgino juos pralinksminti. Ant popieriaus skiaučių perrašinėdavo haiku iš savo knygelės, o mes turėdom jas permesti per tvorą.
すぐにペトロネレおばさんは囚われた日本人たちとつながりを持とうとした。彼らを励まそうとした。ペトロネレおばさんがくず紙に自分の本から俳句を書き写すと、僕らはそれを塀の向こうに届くように投げた。Thank you, Yurga. Thank you. So now so I think you enjoyed the sounds of Lithuania right now, and now we want to move on the discussion today. So we want to discuss about what is writing for children and what is translating for children. So from Marius, I want to ask first to you that why you write for children, and especially why you write this book, why you chose to write poems for children. your microphone is off.
Hello again. And actually, I wrote the poems in early age, and in the school, I very like to make poems about my schoolmates, but they was funny for me and for another friends. But hero of poem was usually not very happy about these poems.
Mhm.
And after it, I was in Soviet Army, and in the Soviet Army, I started to wrote serious poems about life and so on, you know. And but after my children were born, I start make funny poems for children, for them. I have son and daughter, and start to wrote stories and funny poems for them. Because I'm little bit lazy, and children's very like repeat, and they usually ask to read same book at every evening. So it was very annoying for me, and I started to make my own poems and stories. So it was the start of children stories and poems in my life.
So your family motivated you to write for children?
Yes, because actually I start, my first book was published only in 2018, maybe. It's only about 5 years of my writer career, and I have published about, at this moment, it's about 14 maybe books. It's I think it's only 14. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's actually a lot. And if you go to bookstore in Lithuania, you always find book of Marius Marcinkevičius.
Yes, you can. And I at the moment I don't want to stop. It's very interesting for me, and I keep it.
Great. So I want to ask for another author for not only like one reason for happy poems, writing happy poems was family, but how about you, Yurga? You wrote this serious, pretty much serious book for children, and what motivated you for write this Siberian Haiku?
Well, at the beginning, I didn't know that it would be for children, because I was thinking about a book about the exile story of my father many years. And I wrote some things before, and they were not for kids. And luckily, Siberian Haiku was the first book which was published, because the things before, still not published, were so crude and rude and very different from this. And I once even tried to write a script, like for film, when I was trying to enter a school in Paris about this story. Then I tried to write just a novel. And then my kids were born, as Mario said, when my kids were born and they grew up, and I was telling them about the story of Siberia and the exile. And I could see that they were very far as from the moon, from what happened. So then I had this wish to write to kids, so the kids could understand. But I always think about the books for kids, for children, that they should be interesting for adults too. So what happened with this book also, it's like a book for family finally. And it's also interesting that migrating to other countries when it's translated, so it becomes for different age. For example, in France, it's for adults. In Germany, it's for young adults. I mean, it's not for little kids. In Russia, it will be published also for young adults. So it depends on the culture then, as they understand it. They think that it's a serious story, as you say, and not all the kids could read it. So it depends.
Thank you. And can you simply explain to your audience why you use the title haiku? Because haiku is Japanese word, and I think everybody is wondering why haiku.
So the story is that I had this notebook of my grandmother's memories. She wrote a tiny notebook about Siberia, but she wrote it when she was already a long time back, when Lithuania proclaimed its independence in 1990. So she wrote the memories, things she could remember. And what surprised me that comparing to other literature, exile literature, it was very different story she wrote. She wrote about nature a lot, about, she could write a page about a little flower or about the death of a cat or something like this. So I found it very different from other books I could read at the time. And I was thinking the feeling was I was trying to find the word for this. And then one day I just said to myself, it's like haiku, like Siberian haiku. It's like not a lot of words, like just very little words and very profound meaning. And that's why I called it. And then the Japanese line appeared in the book, and then the Japanese appeared in the book. So everything started just from the name, just from the title, just from this word.
Thank you. So today two of our guests are writing for children, and they are inspired by their family to write their very nice, actually the best Lithuanian books of their culture, and they are also continue writing for children. But and as Yurga said, it depends on which age are you writing for. It depends on which country you are, and this Siberian Haiku is actually for small children in Lithuania, and I'm now translating the Japanese, but it's for adults this time. But on the other hand, this Marius Maji Elia Majim small ones are for. I also translated for small children. I use a lot. I didn't use kanji, the Chinese characters, to make everything simple. So Marius, it's your. I want to ask you about this as a translator, but that I translated your book, your poems, as I make mostly meaning is same and maybe sounds and rhythm are same, but what do you anticipate for translation? Because what is the how to say, what do you most value for yourself of your poems?
For me, I don't know exactly. It's sometimes it's funny for me to make poems. Sometimes it's depends on your mood. It show my mood and what I think about all environment around me. So poems. I think poems. It's highest level of literature. And from my childhood, I very like poems, and my father usually bought a lot of poem books, and he know a lot of poems, and I usually was surrounded with poems, so it's easy to me make them. But also I'm not only poet, and I as Yurga, also make serious books for children. For example, you know, this my one of the last books, Akmenėlis. It's about Holocaust in Lithuania and about Jewish peoples and about Second World War. And also I make a few books about one about autism and another one about children with cancer, with cancer diseases. So not only poems are in my head.
So your head has many ideas.
Yes, at this moment, yes. Sometimes empty.
And yes, thank you. And to Yurga, I want to ask you that when you decided to write for children with a very serious topic, what you value for writing? What kind of writing style did you take to tell for small children?
You are still talking about Siberian Haiku?
Yes.
When you decide to write for children, of course, you have to have in mind that you write for children. But at the same time, I always think about elder people and adults who are always children somewhere inside. So yeah, then you have a responsibility to find the right word and to somehow think about this, some maybe violent situation, how you write about it. It's important. I was writing this book trying to protect the children from the reality, but at the same time talking quite sincerely about it. I was observing my own children and listening to them for the speech to be natural, because all the topic is told by a little boy. So yeah, I think it should be natural, and that's when children they connect with the story. Just it goes like a flow. But I don't think that it's different for adults. It's always should be something very natural. Just for kids, maybe you should think more about some concrete situations. Some people say you shouldn't speak about these topics with the kids, but for me, I can speak about everything. It just depends how you find the way to do it.
Thank you very much. So now it's both of you are writing sincerely you are thinking sincerely about children, and Marius has a lot of ideas in your head, but still you two are making very good voice and mood for children to make your ideas into nice reading experience, I think. And for myself, when I translate, I was trying to make I want to make as exactly as Mario, like I want to make the reading experience as exactly as Lithuanian kids read Marius' poetry or Yurga's graphic novels. And I was thinking, I was always imagining how you were trying to write in your office. But it's very good. I think maybe I should ask you before translating, but still I'm very glad to hear this. And I want to ask another thing is, what is so when you writing for children, but you also as I know, you are also reading for children, like in the libraries or maybe for your kids. Are there gaps that you think this might be good for children, and what reaction you get from children? Can you start from Marius?
Yes, because I have a lot of books, and when I meet with children, they can choose, depend on the mood, yes, or depend on the teacher. what they want, or if they want to talk about poetry, about funny things, or sometimes they want to talk about sad things, about the Holocaust, about war, and so on. I have few meetings in these days, and children have said that it's very, very important for them to meet with author, with writer, and they can see that I am a real person, not imagined person, because usually they, especially children, think that writer is like God, and he doesn't live between us. Yes, so it's very important for them to touch me, to talk with me, to ask some questions, and sometimes it's questions, very simple questions. How old are you? How children do you have? Do you have dog? Do you have cat? What do you like to eat? Or so on. So they really touch you, and they can understand that there is no impossibilities in this life. And I usually ask, want you to become writers, and a lot of children say yes, and they make poems, and they write short stories or comics, and I think we will have in future a lot of young genius.
Great. And how about you, Yurga, about reaction from your readers or children?
Yeah, well, I don't have such experience as Marius, because he has a lot of books and he meets a lot of kids. But of course, with Siberian Haiku, we also made a lot of presentations and workshops. And then now I started like a new series of books for illustration book for young small kids, and it's a different experience. And I started also meeting kids for this, and then making workshops with them. For me, it's always very fun, and I think it's now very popular in Lithuania to go with your book, to travel with your book. I mean, you write a book, it's published, well, it's illustrated. Usually, it's for kids, and then you have to accompany it. You have to go with it. Otherwise, they just get lost in this ocean of books. So this practice now is very popular, and writers and illustrators, they are invited in schools and festivals and libraries and all this kind of. So at the same time, it's you want to write something new, so you want to leave everything behind, but sometimes you need to go with the book. So kids are, yeah, they are very funny, and they're always very happy to meet the author. And these meetings can be very much inspiring. As Marius said, lots of them, they want to be writers, and some of them already wrote a kind of book or two, or and they talk about it, and then when you hear them, you think that they don't maybe search for the ideas as we do, and they observe everything very easily from life. So yeah, they become our teachers in our creation process. I think so. Meeting kids, it inspires me a lot.
And how about in your family? Like now you talked me, you answered me about meeting with your young readers outside your house, like in libraries or in schools and festivals. But how your family, how your motivation, as you say, your motivation was your children to start creating for children's book, but how your family react to your creation, Marius?
My family accepted very warmly And when I start, they cannot believe that I can make it. When I start my first book was when I was 50. It's not it's not best time to start be writer. I think maybe another person can start in the earlier age, but I started at 50, at my 50, and they was totally surprised, maybe, because all my life I work as a doctor and make serious deals, and then you are 50 and start write the funny stories for children. It's a little bit strange, but they accept it very good, and at this time they support me, but time is run very fast, and my children grow up, so they are not interesting, unfortunately, in my poems. And because my son is 20 and daughter is teenager, and teenagers have all own world and own minds about the world. Yes. So now I am writing only for another children, not for my own.
And how about you, Yurga?
Well, I have two kids too. My boy is a teenager too, but he stays always interested in what I do. And my girl, she's 9 years old. And my kids actually, before I also started writing no, I always was writing, but my first book was published when I was 40 and something. So it's also kind of late, but but before that, I was always writing stories and telling stories and making theater and doing lots of things. So they are not, it's a natural transition. And as I'm a translator, so I'm working at home usually, and I'm at my computer. So nothing really changed except of educations and workshops and going to meet kids in other places or festivals. So my kids are always supporting me very much, and I read to them my stories. They always give their opinion. For example, one story, I'm still waiting for it to be illustrated. My daughter, she asked me to change it like 3 times, and I thought that she was right, and I changed what she said. So yeah, it's interesting. We are kind of a crew, like working together here. Yes.
So nice stories. Thank you very much. And now I think in a few minutes we're running out of time, but still we have time. So I want now I want you to have the comments or like the message to your readers in Japan, because Mario's book is already published in Japanese already in this July, and Yurga's book will be published next spring. So I want to hear from you, because I very remember the moment, the first time we met with Marius, we were eating chocolate cake, and he said, yeah, translate my book into Japanese. So I want, can you give some message to your readers, your future readers?
Enjoy. Yes, I'm very glad about this translation, and I'm very many thanks for you, Aya, for your job. And I know, and I very like haiku, and it's very ancient art, I think, in the Japan. So I am very proud that my little funny poems find a way to your hearts and to your readers in that Japan. And I hope that I'm preparing another book. It was short poems for little poems for littles, and another one will be long poems for littles, or long poems for shorts. So I hope if it will be popular, this one maybe, and another one can be too.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And yes, this book is now is becoming popular. So yes, we can have another conversation with Chocolate Cake and with your new book.
Okay, I'm waiting you in Vilnius, or maybe go to Tokyo.
I'm waiting you also. And also about Yurga, this book is actually, we have a long journey to publish this book in Japan. Like we met in 2018, maybe in February in book festival of and we met like, okay, and Yurga was very passionate. And also this book has two authors. One is story author Yurga, and co-creator is Lina Itagaki. She is the artist. She draws all the big illustration here. So two of this book's author was very passionate about translating this into Japanese, because this book is title is haiku, and Japanese is in the Japanese soldiers appears. So I'm very happy myself to present this to Japanese readers. But Yurga, can you, maybe I say too much for you, but Yurga, can you say some comments for them?
Yes, well, it was one of our, we had few dreams about this book with Lina, the illustrator of the book, the co-author of the book. So one of them was to publish one day the book in Japanese, because there are these Japanese in the book and all this. And we were almost ready to rewrite some maybe chapters and to adapt it to Japanese more. But, and then of course, thanks to Aya, and of course, thanks to all the translators, it's incredible that your book can travel all over the world, and now it will be published in Japan. So we are hoping to go to Japan. As I said, you have to go with the book where it calls you. So yeah, we are very, very happy about this book publishing it, and I hope that Japanese readers, they will feel these universal things which I am talking about. The history, the big history, the historical facts, they are just, they are not the most important in this book, of course. It's the story of the boy which is deported far away from his home. And that's, for me, the most important, to look at him from close, to feel what he can feel in this situation, and to transmit it to my readers. So it's a universal language. So I'm sure that Japanese readers, they will feel what I wanted to say. And of course, they will see the drawings and illustrations which go together, and also tell their own story going in parallel with this. So yes, enjoy also. I would say, even if it's serious thing, but I say enjoy, and thanks for this opportunity, the big opportunity.
Thank you very much. And thank you again, Marius and Yurga, for today's nice conversation. And I'm very glad to introduce my creative and inspiring friends to Japanese readers, Japanese audience today. So thank you very much, all of you, of listening to us. And please wait for Yurga's new Siberian Haiku's translation. And please check in the library or in the bookshop this nice happy poems books. So this is everything for today's session. So Nissan, can you make a closing note?
Yes, thank you, Aya, Marius, and Yurga, for your wonderful presentation. And thank you to the festival staffs and all the guests of today. ありがとうございます。アチュラバイ。アチュ、ありがとう。
Thank you, arigato.